Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mel and I have a very special guest today. This is Evie and her little octopus friend. Anyway, I've been seeing The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood all over BookTube for the past couple of weeks, and I finally decided to sit down and read it. When a book, especially a romance book, is this hyped, it really makes me a little bit nervous because hyped books and I don't really have a good relationship. Anyway, as I said, I finally gave in and read it, and I wanted to give you my spoiler-free thoughts today. But first, if you didn't know, The Love Hypothesis is a romance following Olive Smith, who is a PhD student at Stanford University. Her friend Anne has a crush on her ex-boyfriend named Jeremy, and she really wants them to be together, but she doesn't want them to feel weird about it. So she figures that the best thing to do would be to move on and get herself a new boyfriend. Only the problem is Olive is a really busy student and she doesn't have time for romance. One night, Anne unexpectedly shows up at the lab on campus where Olive is working when she said that she'd be on a date with her new boyfriend. So she panics and kisses the first guy she sees so that Anne wouldn't catch her in her lie. This guy turns out to be Adam Carlsen, who is a professor in her faculty that's really notorious for being rude and insensitive towards students. Anyway, they decide to continue this fake dating relationship because it's convenient for both of them and it's mutually beneficial. So first I'll talk about what I liked, then what I didn't like, and I'll finish off with the age-old question, was it worth the hype? Starting off with what I liked. I really enjoyed the writing style. It was really cute and typical of what you would normally find in a hyped romance, like The Hating Game or The Unhoneymooners. The writing was always really quirky and sometimes a little bit funny and very relatable. If you're a student or a young adult like me, you'd probably really enjoy Olive's inner dialogue and struggles. I also like that the writing was very bingeable. I read it in a single day in almost one sitting. When you're starting off the book, there isn't a lot to learn or understand, and you get to jump in and immediately fall in love with the characters. I also thought that the relationship between Adam and Olive was really sweet. I really enjoyed how the characters meet for the first time. I'm a big fan of the fake dating trope, and I'm honestly getting kind of sick of the enemies to lovers. This book also has a couple of other tropes that I enjoy, like Grumpy and Sunshine, and a couple other ones that I won't spoil. The characters themselves have so many inside jokes and banter with each other, and it was just so cute to read. I caught myself smiling so many times. The romance itself was very slow burn, and I felt like the amount of time it took for the characters to get together was really appropriate. Sometimes I find the characters get together too fast, or they end up getting together too late in the book and you don't get to see them happy together, but in this book I thought that they got together just around the right time. I also liked how the side characters were really interesting and lovable, especially Holden and Malcolm. I think the most important part of a romance is when the characters can exist without each other, and I really liked how Adam and Olive had lives outside of each other. I don't like at all when characters fall in love with each other and they suddenly lose their entire personality, and that wasn't the case in this book. And the last thing I like that I'll mention is the book took place in an academic setting at a university, and I thought this was really well done. Being a graduate student and a professor, the characters were much more mature than I'm used to, but they were still able to have fun. Moving on to what I didn't like, this book was kind of advertised as an enemies to lovers romance. Adam is notorious for being a douchebag to the rest of the faculty, but I didn't really get those vibes from him towards Olive. Outside of a couple incidents or examples, I didn't feel like the author portrayed his mean side that well. So if you're going into this book expecting an enemies to lovers romance, you'll probably be disappointed. Another one of the problems that I had with this book was the emphasis on Adam's height. Adam is well over 6 feet tall, and the author doesn't hesitate to remind you that every couple of pages. I'm honestly a little bit sick of this male character archetype. I find that most male love interests in books have this stereotype where they're super tall and they have huge hands and feet, and the main character is obsessed with it. This was a trope I really didn't enjoy in Serpent and Dove or The Hating Game, and I definitely don't like it here. I just wish that authors would stop making height a man's main attractive quality. I also didn't like how Adam was kind of a stereotypical love interest. He paid for everything, and it made sense in the context given that Olive was a broke PhD student, but I also wish that authors would stay away from this trope as well. Another one of the things I didn't like about this book was the third act conflict. If you read a lot of romance books, you're probably familiar with this. It's when something in the story happens where the relationship is tested in some way, and a lot of the time it's done quite poorly. The problem is usually miscommunication, or people aren't saying what they mean. I just hate when characters don't express how they're feeling and expect the other person to read their mind. There were also a couple other points in the book where there were forced or awkward situations with friends involving PDA. These scenes were super uncomfortable to read through, and oftentimes they were very far-fetched and unrealistic, and sometimes it felt like Olive didn't really have control over her life. A lot of the time she was doing things just because people told her to do it. Like I said earlier, the writing style was very fun and easy to read, but I did find that the science terminology was a little bit simplistic. This was probably done intentionally, but it also broke my immersion to think about a graduate student saying that the mitochondria is a powerhouse of the cell. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I noticed that the name Olive was also used in On Honeymooners. Olive is a little bit of an unusual name, so I'm surprised the author decided to continue with it knowing that it's used in another hyped romance. Now it's time for the answer that you've been waiting for. Is the book worth the hype? And cautiously, I would say yes, but definitely lower your expectations and know what you're getting into. I gave it a 4-star. It wasn't perfect, but I really enjoyed it and recommend it if you can get over its flaws. You'll like it if you're in the mood for a light and fluffy romance that doesn't take itself too seriously, and if you enjoy romance in an academic setting. You probably won't like this book if you don't enjoy fake dating or the grumpy sunshine trope. The writing style is also a little bit of a hit or miss. You might find it charming like I did, or you might find it too annoying and simplistic. You also probably shouldn't go into this book expecting some really great steamy scenes. They were okay, but you shouldn't go into the book just for that. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you read the book, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Also, tell me if you have any suggestions for a book I should read and review next. Bye guys.